r/askreddit. What was sexy 10 years ago, but isn't now?
My hairline, damn 10 years makes a difference.
I recently found a stray hair growing out of the middle of my forehead. I then realized that was actually the last remnant of my original hairline. It was crushing.
Lot of people in this thread finding out they're older than they think they are today.
10 years? You mean like the 90s, right?
No man, 2000. Have you heard of this new band called Linkin Park?
I feel like women's casual wear in general is always sexier than it was 10 years ago, and it's starting to make me feel old. I imagine when I'm old, I'm going to comment on some lady's outfit being really revealing, and my grandkids are going to roll their eyes and say something like, "You're so old-fashioned, Grandpa. Our asshole isn't even open." Oh my God.
Using the word sexy in marketing/digital teams to describe sleek interfaces or products.
The time when the phrase sleek, sexy exterior stopped being used in advertising for cars and laptops directly coincided with the time when advertisers started realizing that there were people that actually get turned on by varying degrees anthropomorphized cars and laptops.
Facebook. It was cool, exclusive, and exciting. Now it's full of adverts, data scalping, and your grandparent.
Skinny eyebrows?
As long as they are not taking it too far into the extreme, with thick, overdrawn Groucho eyebrows. Beauty is cyclical. Thin eyebrows will be back eventually. It happens every 25 or so years. Girls in the 70s has thin brows. Clara Bow and other silent film stars 100 years ago had thin brows. 100 years ago had thin brow. But yeah, I agree that it looks weird at this point in time.
You leave my Eugene Levy out of this.
The hair bump/poof for girls made popular by Jersey Shore. I always thought it looked trashy, but it seemed like everyone did it. That and too much bronzer.
Too much bronzer. Still popular in certain houses.
But definitely not in Ravenclaw. Those bitches are pasty.
Why are half the things mentioned on here from the early 2000s when 10 years ago was 2010?
Like how you accidentally write last year for a couple months when dating something. Our brains are still defaulting that the 90s were 20 years ago and the 80s were 30.
I'm pretty sure that everyone assumes 30 years ago refers to the 1970s, unless that's finally started to change.
1 TB of data storage.
I have 1.5 TB of storage on my PC. I thought it would be enough for years and years. It's been 3 years and it's nearly full.
I also have 1 TB in my LSC, which is now 7 years old, and it's only half full. I have a ton of games on it. But I also don't take pictures much, still have about 100 on there. I don't store music or movies on it, and I have about 30 Unity projects on it. So my question is, how the hell do people use so much disk space?
Plucking your eyebrows thinner than a badger's nadger. Now it's got to be full on 2 slugs fighting for dominance.
Thin eyebrows were a thing in the late 90s, actually. Everyone was revolting against the 80s eyebrows.
Tila Tequila.
Now she is a lit real Nazi. Not that I don't like this person, so they're a Nazi, but in actual, there are only 2 things in this world for which I would gladly sacrifice my own life. The destruction of all Jews and preservation of the white race Nazi. Yes, that is an actual Tila Tequila quote. Someone in the thread said she had a head injury. Looking into it, it looks like she did have some brain injuries after Odin.
She's also a flat earther. When I was in high school, there was one year where every girl at my school suddenly started wearing a feather in their hair. Did anyone else experience this, or was my high school weird?
I'm gonna see Kiha. That's why I got all these feathers in my hair.
Waded through all the comments looking for this reference. If that isn't peak teen mom, I don't know what is.
To me, personally, artsy boys in skinny jeans who are deeply tormented souls who the rest of the world just doesn't understand. No lie, I once, unironically, swooned when a boy, unironically, used the line, "I just have to keep creating or I'll die." Now I just want a regular guy or girl who wants to laugh while effing and go out to get a burrito afterwards. Not before, never before. Performative sexiness is way less sexy than an effortless connection. I'm happy to leave the artsy boys to the next generation.
It sounds like you grew up more than there was a cultural shift around sad boys.
The culture has been swooning over sad boys since Hamlet.
Okay, this might be a little more than 10 years ago, but women's thongs riding up. I remember in middle school I used to watch those Butts Like the Playoffs.
Lindsay Lohan.
I think you've got to go back a bit more than 10 years for that one.
Mean Girls was 16 years ago, so 16.
Apple-bottom jeans, the ones without any back pockets. Every Inaz would wear these.
Boots with the fur.
With the fur.
Just realised I was about to list something from the 90s. How did I get so old?
Fake tan? I think every time I go out. Not so often, but anyways, I seem to see less and less orange ladies.
I think it's a combination of women not feeling as pressured to be tan and fake tan formulas being easier to use and less orange.
18-year-olds are just like people my own age.
I was at the university recently, and instead of checking out all the 18 to 22-year-old girls and finding them hot, they all just looked like children.
Concealer lips, orange foundation, and a heavy-handed black eyeliner look.
Wearing fitted tapoot and Hot Topic type clothes with all those skulls, flames and swords.
This might just be a middle school thing, specifically that one chubby kid who hates his stepdad.
You just described me in middle school perfectly.
10 years ago was when the Jersey Shore was big. I would say a ton of things from that, like the fashion, hair, gortle, and the fist bump. I remember seeing so much Ed Hardy around when that show was popular.
Every Thursday, Jersey, a large group of us would go to my friend's apartment and pre-game while watching Jersey Shore before going out for dollar beers and acting like animals. It was fun. We were 19/20. Never got into Ed Hardy or Affliction, though. I was a different kind of dochu.
That actually sounds like a lot of fun. I could see my friends and I doing that ironically at first, and then actually starting to like the Jersey Shore.